And now, more with Social Women with your hosts, Pat Cruz, Amy Diaz, and Bronwyn Dannenfelser.
But now we are going to be connecting with Janis Spindel, who she and I have been going back and forth for a while. She is a matchmaker in New York City, and she's going to have some great tips for us. So I don't know if she's on yet. Janice, are you there?
I am.
Hello, Janice. Hey, Janice.
Hi, how are you?
How are you? It's Pat.
Hi, Pat. How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good.
Happy New Year to everybody.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you. Speaking of New Year, we have a lot of women out there that we knew this would be a popular subject of people coming in and dating and finding the right ones and what to do when you're looking. So we are putting it in your hands. And first we want to hear a little bit about you, and then you can give us some great tips.
Okay, well, hopefully 7 of them might be very, 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 very lucky women, because as of yesterday at about 5:30, I found out that I have 7 more couples, and then I am at 1,000 married.
Wow.
And I am determined to get there much, much sooner rather than later.
That's great.
So maybe some of them will be fabulous, well-educated, well-groomed, attractive, upscale, professional, non-smoking, athletically inclined women who are looking for the man of their dreams.
There you go.
Well, my wife has already found hers. So there.
You know what,
Lucky
Janice?
girl.
Janice,
Right.
we haven't even started talking about tips and everything else, and we already have 2 guests on the phone,
But
which we will get to in a little bit.
yes,
so we
looking for
want to get
questions.
some tips from you first, and then we can go ahead and chat with them.
hello?
Tell me what, I have thousands upon thousands of tips in my little wealth of knowledge brain.
And you are
So
certainly a
tell
wealth of
me
knowledge.
Where to even begin in terms of what you're looking for?
Well, first,
Tips in
take a
terms
little.
of what men want, what men don't want, what women do wrong, how important appearance is to the opposite sex.
All the above.
All of the above. Let's go ahead and start with what men want.
Okay. Men are, unfortunately, they are very visual, very superficial, shallow human beings. And I'm just a messenger, so don't shoot the messenger.
Larry.
Not arguing. She's absolutely
There
right.
you go, another one.
She is absolutely correct.
You will definitely realize that I own the minds of men, and I know what they want and what women do wrong. And men are looking for, first and foremost, the 4 Bs, which is what I call beauty, brains, body, and balance. Men want an attractive girl who is beautiful inside and out. They want a woman who leads a healthy lifestyle, who takes care of their body. They definitely need a woman who's intellectually stimulating and well-educated or street smart. They want a woman who is going to enhance the fabulous lives that they already have and bring something to the table, whether it's that she's interested in photography, antiquing, scuba diving, she plays chess, she plays golf, whatever it is. They want a woman. They want to feel that they're learning from a woman.
That's interesting
At the end of the day,
Go
Sorry?
ahead. Well, I think that all women want a man with the 4 Bs. So as they're looking for these women with the 4 Bs, I want to know if, are they good looking, smart, have something to bring to the table as well? I mean, there's a lot of your clients that live up to all these great things that they're looking for in women?
without a question
All
of
right.
a doubt. Otherwise, I walk away. I have to be honest with you, Pat, women, and I guarantee you that everybody will agree, the most important thing in both of my books, when I surveyed over 10,000 women throughout the entire country, the most important thing to women, when I said to women, tell me, without even thinking, just tell me 3 things that are important to you. 99.9% of every woman said intelligence is number 1, sense of humor is number 2, and then 3 would always vary depending on the woman and the demographics. It could be kindness, it could be passion, it could be looks, it could be, success, but always 1 and 2 were intelligence and sense of humor. With that being said, women are not as superficial and shallow as men are. And no matter where anybody lives, whether it's in New England, the Southwest, or the West Coast, how many times have you seen a short, bald guy with an unbelievably stunning woman, and you say, well, it's got to be his wallet. And
For some reason, Elmer Fudd is the only person I can think of.
Women
And
can
Bugs
be
Bunny, I
turned
think, was
on
dressed up
from
as a woman.
Phenomenal, engaging, charismatic personality. If a guy is funny and engaging and charming and smart, they don't care if he's 6'4", drop dead gorgeous. Women
right.
are just very different than men are.
Well, that's because people become more attractive depending on their personality. At least I would think so from my perspective. There's a lot of people that once they're good looking, but once they open their mouth, they're not so good looking anymore. And
that's exactly correct.
Or once you get to know them, once you get to know them and you find out what you have in common, that personality and sense of humor makes a little bit more of a difference than just what they look like on the outside.
Exactly. And I also find, unfortunately, sometimes just because somebody's very rich doesn't mean that they necessarily have class. See, I believe
So
I have to deal with, my clients are all the men, and I'm dealing with them on a 24/7, if not 25/8 basis. So they have to be nice people, and I have to like them.
What's the age
I cannot deal with anyone that's rude or arrogant or obnoxious.
Well, neither do we.
Now, what do you find women do wrong? Because you had mentioned that before.
I don't know if we have enough time on the air for that one. Unfortunately, there's a multitude of things. I mean, first and foremost, men are not interested in a woman who's needy. And there are so many needy women out there who are drama queens, who are high maintenance, that it just ceases to amaze me. They nag, they are compulsive, they are aggressive, they text, they can't sit still and wait for a man to call them. They talk about, unfortunately, the first, second, and third date when you're trying to get to know somebody, it's not a good idea to talk about anything X. So if a guy happens to say something about a divorce and asks you a question, that doesn't mean he's giving you an inch and is opening up a can of worms to spend the entire night talking about your brutal divorce or your kids or any type of baggage. And a lot of times, I call it TMI, too much information on a first date. It really isn't a good idea to talk about any kind of baggage that you might have, whether it's health, whether it's family, whatever issues you might have. Do not open up your can of worms on a first, second, or third date. And women tend to do that. I hear it all the time.
But what do you mean when you say needy? Because we talked about this before. Is that everybody wants to feel needed to some point?
I think needed and needy are two different things.
I was just going to say,
How about clingy?
Needed and needed are completely different.
Clingy. How about clingy?
So
Yes.
Clingy is more like needy.
Yeah.
Now, they don't-
jealous, needy. I have a woman that was driving me out of my mind last night. That went out with a man
do
about
tell.
5 times.
What was the problem?
And broken the rules, to say the least. She slept with him, which was completely inappropriate when she only went out with him 5 times. And he said the right things, and he did the right things, and blah, 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 blah. And needless to say, she asked him to go to a Knicks game last week because she got tickets from her office, which I thought was a really nice thing to do, even though she hadn't heard from him after the third or the fourth date when they slept together. But he said, yeah, I'd love to go. And she said, oh, great. So he's not busy. Why didn't he ask me out? Like, why didn't I hear from him? But I'm asking him to a Knicks game. I said, that's okay. It's a great thing. You asked him to a Knicks game. They went to the Knicks game, and she made it very clear that she wasn't going home with him after because she had to get up at the crack of dawn for an early flight the next morning. And he said, oh, okay, well, text me, make sure you let me know you got there and you landed safely and blah, 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 of which I told her not to, of which she listened. And she hasn't heard from him. And she said to me last night, I don't get it. Like, why didn't he call me? Like, I didn't text him. Why didn't he call me? Like, maybe I didn't land. Maybe something happened. Like, why didn't he call? And women they don't tend to sit back and wait for a guy to make the next move. A man wants to feel that he's in charge.
Yeah,
and women, sorry?
But how long is enough? Like, and
Well,
there's
look, if you go out with somebody on a first date, my suggestion is, today's day and age with technology, the rules are completely different than
Exactly.
30 years ago when I was single and dating. You know, it used to be you say thank you and you give a kiss goodnight or a peck on the cheek or whatever, and then it's over. The date's over. Nowadays, people expect communication right after the date or the next day. They either expect an email or they expect a text saying something, even if they're in the taxi or on a train on the way home, it's, they expect some kind of communication.
So let's use today's technology. If a woman posted something on Facebook, how long before should she give up if he doesn't post anything or like the post that she puts on it?
Well, give me expand on that a little.
I think Larry's just kidding.
You mean after they go out on their first date, she posts that they're in a relationship?
Yeah, there shouldn't be a Facebook relationship, right?
Right. See, that's completely out of control. I had a
Yes,
woman
it
who
is.
was with a guy for 8 months, and it still said she was single. I said to her, I think that's a little odd. Don't you think you should say in a relationship? What does it say on his page? So there's two completely different extremes to certain types of men and certain types of women. But needy, to just go back to the definition of needy, is somebody who's clingy and somebody who probably doesn't have a lot of interest in their own friends and their own life, and they're not a busy person. So they're needy. They need to be with somebody or have constant contact with somebody all the time. And that's not what a man wants.
You know what?
Like I was with a man this morning, and they just got back from a cruise. And he said, what was the nicest thing? He said, Sherry and I got to be together for 10 solid days. And I said, yeah, wow, that was great. And he said, we each did our own thing in the morning. I went off to here, and she went off to yoga, or I did this, and she did that. But we were still together for 10 days, and it was really nice. Nobody wants to be with somebody 24/7. You have to give somebody their space. And a lot of women all over the country don't know how to do that. To be honest with you, I don't think it's appropriate. I think that people, and again, depending on age, unfortunately, younger people in their 20s and 30s tend to jump into bed much faster than people that are, 35 and older, or I should say 40s and older. And I don't know if you know it or not. I'm headquartered in New York, but I do have clients all over the country, and
Yes.
I own Boston.
You just did an event here. Did you not in Boston?
I'm in Boston 6 to 8 times a year.
Wow.
Yes,
We'll have to
Rhode
set up a little
Island,
social women
Connecticut,
event.
Dallas, Chicago, L.A., San Francisco, Aspen, Florida. I mean, most of the major cities I have clients coming out of my ears. It's definitely raining men right now for some ridiculous reason, but I'm not complaining.
Well, that's a great thing. Do you find that you usually have more men looking than women looking?
Well, my clients are all the men. So
Okay.
my youngest client is 27 and my oldest client is 78. And they're all very well educated, well groomed, upscale professional, really awesome guys that are commitment-minded, looking for a relationship. I'm not a dating service. I'm
Right.
a matchmaker, and there is a very big difference.
There's a
to
very
say the
big
very
difference.
least. Men don't come to me for sex, and they don't come to me for a trophy wife or arm candy. They're looking for a woman that has the entire package, and 992 times I found that woman that has the entire package. And every man that I've gotten married never would have married her if it wasn't for me, because I will do anything and leave no stone unturned until I find a guy his wife.
Where do you go to find these women, Janis?
Everywhere and anywhere. I mean, my daily lifestyle, I'm always scouting women. I mean, wherever I travel to, I'm always meeting women. I was just in Nantucket and Boston, and I mean, anywhere from the ferry to a nail salon to a department store to the gym. I mean, just wherever I go, I talk to people. And
Stop by Media
I look-
Appeal next time.
What?
Stop by Media Appeal next time.
Yeah, Amy
Okay.
wants it to rain men.
Yeah, but let me go back to the definition of, what I think is needy. The men that I deal with really have the entire package. And they want to know that a woman is independent and that she does have her own life. The same way that men are not looking for women that are gold diggers, because clearly the clients that I have are high net worth individuals who are really financially secure. But they really want a woman that has her own life, her own friends. That's the B in balance of the 4 Bs.
Janice,
Yes.
I'm sorry. Now, is that what you find, with all your matches? Has that really been the case where the women are independent? Because what I find, I keep running into, I will call them boys, not men, that are intimidated by an independent woman, by someone who has her career, is well educated, who has the B's that you just mentioned, and instead of going ahead and committing to that, they run the other way.
Guess what? Women have a habit of picking the wrong men. The right kind of a man will never be intimidated by a powerful alpha female phenomenal woman.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so then where can women find these men? Where do you find your men?
It's raining men. I cannot even begin to tell you.
Please don't say that, Janice.
A day that goes by where I don't pick up at least 25 to 60 men.
What?
Oh, yeah. Check out, read my blog. It's all pickup stories, and every one of them is 1,000% true of where I picked them up, whether it was a widower who happened to be an heir at yoga, or whether it was just walking on the street. The other day, it was really beautiful out with this crazy weather we're having. And these 2 men I was on Park Avenue rushing to get to a lunch that I had, because I go out on simulated dates every day of the week with different men to lunch to see how they treat me, how they treat the waiter, their manners, how much effort they put into the date. I mean, it's a whole thing when I go out with a potential client. And there were 2 really good-looking, tall, very well-dressed men. And, of course, they didn't have a coat on. And I just started a conversation with both of them because, obviously, my opening line was, leave it to men. Never want to have a jacket on. It doesn't matter how cold it is. You know, it's a macho thing. I just get
Pneumonia
involved in
is
these,
awesome.
sort of tongue-in-cheek sense of humor pickup lines that they just come to me. And I mean, I meet men everywhere. I can't walk a block without meeting men.
Well, that's really funny because my friends and my girlfriends in their 40s and 50s would say they can't find a damn man anywhere. And, you know, we had a matchmaker on here, about a month ago from Rhode Island. And that's
3 months ago.
Was
2 months ago.
Well, and that was the biggest complaint, is that men in their 50s and 60s were looking at people in their 30s, and that there was kind of like this
age gap.
An age gap, and what people were looking for at their different stages of life. Do you find that? So the gentlemen that are coming to you between 50 and 70 are looking for 30s?
No.
No?
30 with 70? Ew.
No.
Thank you. Thank you, Janice.
No. Basically, Pat, what men are looking for, I mean, look, I'm definitely not here to tell you that men are looking for women around their age or older. That's not the whole thing, what I do. If it's the cougar thing, that doesn't work. Basically, it's usually within an 8 to 10 year span of age, and I don't think that's unrealistic. Sometimes it can be a little bit more, depending on the demographics of the guy in terms of what he's looking for. Obviously, if the man is looking to start a family, he might want to go a little bit younger with a woman who would be of childbearing years. So everything is a case-by-case situation, but again, I don't deal with the arm candy and the trophy wife. That's not what I do. The men that I deal with really want a spectacular girl, and that's what I find them.
Can I just ask a sex question again, because I didn't get my answer?
Yes.
This is Bronwyn. Yeah, so how many dates? Like, if you're...
Well, I did answer it. I said I don't really think it's appropriate until you're in a committed relationship.
Gotcha.
Because you, I assume, want to just be sleeping with one person. Men surely can't focus on more than 2 women at a time, and it's really a
I don't know about that.
5 we can.
And so, you know, for people that jump into bed too fast, I've had nothing but problems when I lecture and I do a survey with men. You know, believe it or not, because as we all know how men are when it comes to sex, most of them will say when in a committed relationship, because if not, you don't know the girl. And every client of mine who I've had to literally slap that has jumped into bed, 2 of them specifically, with a woman like instantaneously, and they've had this 6 or 8 week fling of like lust and chemistry just like completely out of control, it's fizzled. Because they said they didn't know if they were in love or in lust.
That's
Now, I have
interesting.
a couple who are getting married, go figure, and, oh, God, she slept with him on the first night. It was an extenuating circumstance. She's in Sausalito, California. He's in Washington, D.C. He came to Sausalito to have dinner with her, and he was discussing with her which hotels to stay at. And she said, oh, that's absolutely ridiculous. We're both adults. You can stay in my guest house, and I'll have my caretaker sleep somewhere else. And needless to say, he got there early, much earlier than he was supposed to. She wasn't ready. She was barefoot. She had no makeup on. Her hair was up in a ponytail, and she wasn't dressed. And she screamed and called me and said, what do I do first? Do I do my hair? Do I do my makeup? Do I get on clothes? What do I do? I said, Susan, just answer the door.
I hope she put the clothes on
they
first.
hit it off, the likes of which you can't imagine. The chemistry was flying. They connected like there was no tomorrow. So she ended up having him stay in her room. I said, oh, my God, you didn't even get past the first page of my book. What are you doing? And needless to say,
She
he
answered the door
stayed
without the
for
Without the
3 days.
That's
clothes.
why.
No clothes, no makeup, no hair. That works. Well,
Yeah.
Janice,
He
you know
stayed for
what?
3 days, and she was going on a trip for 3 weeks, and she canceled her trip to Cambodia. She flew to Washington, and she hasn't left. They were in Miami over the holidays for New Year's, and
Wow.
then she invited him to go to New Hampshire, and it looks like that. He said, I'm done.
That's
I'm done. This is
fantastic,
it."
Janice. That is fantastic.
Hey.
Well, before we say goodbye, please let us know where our listeners can get in touch with you and get your book, and of course, get to know how we can find our special one.
Well, my
And-
website is Janis Spindel, Matchmaker.com, and obviously on my homepage there is an application for women who are interested to fill out. They can also connect with me on social media on my homepage. They can get my books on my homepage. They can do everything on my homepage.
Wonderful. And on average, what is the cost for your services?
Well, the men are the ones that pay, and my fees start at $100,000 and go to $500,000.
Wonderful.
Okie dokes.
So
Is there
I'm
a
obviously
is there a
dealing
coupon
with a
day?
very
So this is-
high-end man.
That is very, very
Women
high-end.
do not pay the matchmaking fees. Men do.
Wow.
Okay. Wow.
That's wonderful. Well, you're going to have to let me know when you have an event coming up in Boston so I can
I thought you were going to
promote
ask her
that
when you
here.
have a man for you.
No, no.
I was actually just in Boston a couple weeks ago, and I'll be back in another couple weeks because I
Great.
just got another guy that came out of the woodwork from Boston.
Wonderful.
I'm telling you, I own Boston. I have more men in Boston than I know what to do with them.
Wow. Well, send me the information. I'll post it up on my Facebook page as well.
Okay. I actually have
That's
it up
great.
on my Facebook page on literally the type of women that I'm looking for. I usually put 6 or 7 or 8 or 9 clients up there on their profiles and, you know, what I'm looking for, from Michigan to Chicago to Boston to Rhode Island to New York. I mean,
Wow.
it's raining men. I've got a lot of men up there, obviously no names,
Yeah.
profiles
Yes.
of who they are and what they're looking for. So check
That's
out my
great.
Facebook page for sure.
We
Great.
will.
Thank you so much, Janice.
My
Janice.
pleasure. But